Alright, making a video. I actually have a cold. It's just not good timing. Summer colds. Anyway, I haven't had one of those in an awful long time. Anyway, just sucks. Hot of the day. Ooh, this guy is just... I mean, I really didn't think there could be people that really couldn't understand, like, oh, I'm conscious, I feel, and then understand when other people are feeling that they're going through an experience and it's a bad experience, and you can understand that, and you don't have to be sympathetic or empathetic, you just understand it. I mean, it's not that complicated. And it's like, yeah, you know, but that's not how these people think. And you're just, I'm shocked by it almost. I was just thinking about, like, when I was a kid. I remember, you know, the first time I had a brain freeze. You know, when you eat something too cold. I was having like a slushie or something. I went out with like the neighbors or something. I don't know. I was like 6 years old, and I never had a brain freeze before, and I didn't know what one was. Didn't know anything about it, right? And so all of a sudden, my brain is just aching, and I'm like worried that something's wrong with me. So I'm like, hey, I think something's wrong with me. My brain really hurts. And you know, the guy was, no, you're okay, it's just a brain freeze, you know, from you had the cold stuff too quickly. So he understood. I mean, he understood I was in pain, you know, and he had probably some sort of measure of empathy and sympathy for that, but he understood it. And this is a very bad circumstance, but it's okay, it'll go away, you know. But yeah, that's how it works. I mean, you see other things suffer, and your empathy is a symptom of your understanding. Your empathy isn't like some kind of, oh, she has a hot ass. I mean, empathy isn't like, you know, side boob. I mean, it's not some like silly reaction you have, where it's just some sort of emotional thing that comes out of nowhere. It comes out of your understanding. It's just a sympathetic expression of your ability to imagine, oh yeah, I remember doing that. That was awful. I remember when that happened to me. Oh yeah, that was terrible. That's what empathy is. It's understanding what somebody else is experiencing and understanding it to be a bad thing. How is it logical to see it any other way? How is any other perception of this reality reasonable? It never even occurred to me that people could be this full of shit. I mean, the shit this guy says is just incredible. So let's play it. Like, somewhere around this point, he basically just says, no, it's about what the witness says. The witness has to show up, and if the witness says it's bad, then it's bad. If the witness doesn't have empathy, then it's not bad. You want to erase the suffering of the Jews in World War II? Stop caring. Yeah. See, your caring is the only problem. Once your caring goes away, their suffering never happened. It never happened. If you stop understanding and stop empathizing and stop imagining how horrible it was, that means it goes away. That's this fucking nuts theory. So you want to do you want to hurt your enemies? Care about them. Like, imagine your enemy, like if you want to hurt Osama bin Laden, then just imagine that he has a brain tumor and be really empathetic. Oh, that's just horrible that you have a brain tumor. And somehow he'll have a brain tumor. Right? I mean, that would be the reverse of this idiocy. That would be the reverse of this insanity this crazy fuck is talking. That somehow our reactions to something happening is the definer of the meaning, and it doesn't have any meaning until we show up and say it has meaning. It didn't suffer unless somebody, if something gets run over on the road, that person didn't suffer until somebody shows up and says so. And then the suffering still didn't exist. Now it's just the person saying, oh, it hurts me to think about it. Now their fact that they say it hurts them to think about it somehow means something. But the victim doesn't mean anything. Just incredible.
But they don't understand that it's the empathy that's generated this curing of animals.
So again, he's arguing that somehow it's empathy that comes first. That it's like some sort of sexual reaction or something. A pheromone has to stimulate you or something, and it's not purely something that comes about from understanding. So when I became a vegetarian, because I finally accepted what I knew for a while, but just kind of avoided, that the creatures that I was consuming were suffering to provide me my little num-num food. And I just understood it. I didn't need to have any empathy. I just need to understand that the consequence of my action was a suffering I wouldn't want to endure. How would it not be completely duplicitous and hypocritical of me to impose suffering on something else that I wouldn't want to endure for a frivolous pleasure, a totally replaceable functionality, a total changeable behavior. So, empathy is a made-up word. Newsflash, half of the day. These are made-up words. Now you say empathy is like sexual attraction, or it's like food taste. No, I'm saying empathy is a symptom of understanding.
Fine and good. But the truth of the matter is, from my perspective, that there is no generative art towards beasts in this world.
Okay, so again, he defines these beasts as not having human chromosomes, and so his distinction is without explanation. What exactly is it about a human being that makes them more sensitive than a chimpanzee or a gorilla or a lion or a gazelle? How exactly is the human brain more sensitive, more feeling, more capable of suffering, more capable of having more capable of having a brain freeze? I'm sure animals have brain freezes too, and it just doesn't matter. Their suffering doesn't matter because you call them beasts, and therefore you've liberated yourself from any accountability or responsibility because you're a fucking bigot, obviously, and that's all you are. You don't have any rational explanation of how there's a real categorical difference that matters. The only categories you can find a difference are in categories that don't matter. How well you add numbers has absolutely nothing to do with how rich your feeling life is. That's a fact. It just is.
The arts which are generated by way of needing comfort to ourselves to not see this pain in those animals.
So their pain doesn't matter, even though the word pain doesn't even make sense to me. How I could possibly say the word pain and doesn't matter in the same sentence? What's the point of using the word pain? You're obviously saying it's something other than the pain I feel. If you're saying it doesn't matter, then you're saying my pain doesn't matter. And I'm saying that's insane. I'm sorry. I personally experienced it. I know it matters. So you're on crack, fucker. So either you call their pain something other than pain, or you call my pain something other than pain. But if you're going to claim that human suffering matters and animal beast suffering doesn't matter, then you're going to have to use different terms for it, because it really doesn't make any sense to use the same word, okay, for an experience, and then say one experience matters and one experience doesn't matter when you're using exactly the same word to describe the two experiences. You're retarded.
And in that way, hurting an animal kind of hurts me.
Kind of hurts him, and so somehow the fact that it hurts him means something, but the fact that the animal suffers means nothing. The animal suffering is not the origin or core of the problem. The problem is that he's too empathetic. And if we make him less empathetic, if we make him not care, the animal suffering goes right away. It just disappears. It never fucking happened. So as long as nobody cares, it never happened. So there's a video of a little Chinese kid getting run over on the street. And so what we all could do is all say, let's all not care. Let's all imagine that it doesn't matter. And that way we don't have to have any empathy. We don't have to think about, gee, I wouldn't want that to be my kid. Gee, I wouldn't want to actually experience being run over. So no, don't do any of that stuff. And then the kid's suffering goes away. The kid never suffered. He's not squirming on the road and wiggling and turning over. He's not doing any of that shit. Because we made it all go away by not caring. Amazingly insane philosophy. I hope the modern mystic, I hope the modern mystic would watch this video, play this video half a days, and maybe he'll get a taste for how he sounds sometimes. How fucking goddamn insane he sounds sometimes.
It would be through this mechanism of empathy, not one of logic, in fact.
Right, so I logically didn't understand that animals suffer and logically come to the conclusion that I can't justify imposing suffering. That never happened because Hathaway says so. I had some sort of horny reaction where I all of a sudden just loved cows and I all of a sudden just loved pigs to death. And oh, fantastic, I just love smelly chicken so fucking much that I just was torn to pieces by my empathy and couldn't help myself but to stop eating meat. That's his fable. So he rejects the idea that feelings equal value. That that's what the core. That's at the root of it all. And so, even though we know it's a fact, right? We know that I could demonstrate it a zillion. Right. We know that experiences have value. Right. I mean, if you're at all a reasonable person, you know that experiences are what have value. Good value, bad value. And that you essentially are involved in an economy where you pay for your good experiences with risk of bad experiences. Now, do in the morning. You don't disagree with that, do you? Do you? You insane, skanky cunt. I mean, she commented on the video. Ways, but I could demonstrate by just saying, look, if I get the power of law, and I could say, look, if you don't learn how to dance, do the moonwalk, as well as Michael Jackson, in 1 month, we're going to slowly insert a knife into one of your testicles. I think the value equation is quite obvious. I think in a month you're probably going to be dancing pretty good.
See, Gary has fundamentally missed the point that I accept that there are personal pain and suffering scales.
Okay, now he calls them pain and suffering scales. No, they're personal experiences. Okay, we experience them. It doesn't matter about the scale. It matters about the experience. We actually experience this stuff. When somebody gets irradiated because of a nuclear accident, they experience having the cells of their body die. They experience the pain and the discomfort. They experience it as a Poeskian reality. When people were tortured in the Inquisition, they experienced the horrible suffering, the pain. It wasn't some personal value scale. It was personal experience. And the experience has fucking meaning. Not just to them. It has meaning as a negative thing that happened in the universe. When 6 million Jews were put into concentration camps, it was a negative thing happening in the universe. Because experience was happening. Suffering was happening. And suffering has meaning. It has value, weight. Do you people really don't agree with that? You really think it doesn't matter how much you suffer? That your life is still successful no matter how much you suffer? That any pleasure is worth any kind of catastrophe of pain because the pain doesn't matter? It has no real negative value? Any of you fucktards really believe that?
But he's not articulating how you extrapolate from that. This supposed argument says nothing because I've agreed to the concept that I will be motivated by my own pain, suffering scales.
His scales. He'll be motivated by his fear, his rational fear of horrible suffering. That's what he'll be motivated by, is a logical understanding that it is going to be nasty and unpleasant and he's not going to want to endure that suffering. A clear, rational fear, a clear, rational apprehension, a clear, rational desire to avoid. And this is clearly something that's been part of nature since it first created ouch in the sentient organism 500 million years ago. This is exactly what it did. It created value. When it created an organism that could say ouch, there was value in the universe.
You know, evolution tells us this, that we're evolved to move away from the prospect of...
No, we're not evolved to move away. We're evolved to be able to make the decision to move away, to rationally judge which pain is worth more, which fear or which apprehension. We're given the opportunity to decide what fear is stronger, the fear of the Tyrannosaurus or the fear, well, I'm using that as an example, the saber-toothed lion. Fear of the saber-toothed lion or hunger. Which one is stronger? Fear of dying of starvation or fear of getting eaten by a saber-toothed tiger? So yeah, we're provided by nature with the instrument, a motivating device, okay, not a deciding device. A motivating device, one that gives us the opportunity to allow circumstances to decide which way do you go. So it's not an automatic response, it's a nuanced response. Of course it's automatic in the sense that even your logic is deterministic. But the point is you're given the opportunity to think about it and come up with a better answer than your impulsive answer.
Such pain and suffering. So you're not meeting the objection. The objection is, okay, we all have innate personal pain and suffering scales.
Again, scales. Was there any agreement to this idiotic terminology of scales? No, we have personal experience. We experience pain and suffering. We experience pleasure. The experience has meaning. You can't undo an experience. When the experience happens, it happens. It's in the book. It's happened. Okay, you have to account for it. If you cause a negative experience, a negative sentient experience in another organism, you have to account for it.
But this is no platform, no springboard into obligations beyond that.
So again, yeah, well that's only if you say there is no value. So again, obligation is automatic. As soon as you have plus and minus numbers, obligation is written into the plus and minus numbers. Okay, there's no way to avoid the obligation that it's plus is good, minus is bad. Good and bad, attraction, repulsion. This is part of the mechanism for 500 million fucking goddamn years. And that's the relevance to evolution. Evolution created this functionality, okay, and it obviously has always had written on it the idea of bad and good, or bad and less bad, as I would argue.
I expect INMENDHAM could say something like, oh, you just want to bias against, be selfish for yourself. Well, clearly that's silly.
Well, clearly bigotry is silly, and that's all you are, is a fucking bigot. You haven't described to me any real attribute that makes humans different in terms of having a greater capacity to suffer. No explanation whatsoever, no biological theory, no brain theory, no any kind of theory. You've just declared humans important, animals beasts irrelevant. Okay, by declaration. And I'm saying if you can make declarations like that, then a Nazi can make declarations about sub-fucking humans. So you've opened the door to everybody just making declarations about whose suffering means something and whose suffering means nothing. And I think that's just fucking ludicrous. Pain is pain is pain is pain is pain. Pain is always bad. Pleasure is always good. You're a fucking idiot. Why am I talking to a complete psychotic idiot? There really can't be too many people on planet Earth this fucking dumb. There really can't be. This has to be a small percentage of the human race that can't figure out that the reason why they don't like doing things that cause pain is because pain sucks. That it has the value of suck, which is intrinsically and fundamentally negative. And that the suck still sucks even when it's in another brain. That bad is bad no matter what brain it is in. Yeah. I mean, no, you just can't. That 2 plus 2 hunk of logic, that pain is pain. That's why it's the same word being used, is because pain is pain. Yeah, it just doesn't need any more explanation to anybody rational. He's obviously an irrational, Randian lunatic. Narcissistic, Randian, religious lunatic. Because only a god could declare humans super sentient. Because there's no evidence that we're super sentient. Alright, this is enough. God, I hate this guy. I should read these idiotic comments. You know, lying cunt in the morning. You know, she says these crazy ass shit. Evolution creates, what is this? Capable of pain avoidance. Neurologies. Well, anyway, more like evolution creates neurologies, among other things, that contribute to better avoiding oblivion. Oh, that's Howard Blubber. I don't know why he's commenting here anyway. Pain, pleasure, desire, whatever, are the means to that end. Well, not anymore. So again, this whole evolution shit is just a nonsensical argument. Okay, there's no more reproductive imperative because we're no longer stupid. We know the difference between sex and reproduction. So we've cut a line. We've cut that right off. We've cut that in half. There's no more being deluded into having babies accidentally. Okay, animals don't reproduce on purpose. They reproduce because they are having fucking sex, you idiot. And I really shouldn't have to say that one over and over again. So this whole trying to connect our intelligence to evolution is idiotic. We have a logic modeling machine. We can model accurately or we can model inaccurately. The clear, sensible argument being made is this crazy guy is modeling insanely. Okay, he's saying his pain matters, animal pain doesn't matter. That's what he's saying because he's an idiot. It's not so much that an animal values pain. Yeah, they do value pain, you fucking idiot. Rather that pain is a valuation. Same difference. But obviously they value it. Obviously they avoid it. If they have a bad experience, they will fear it. They will be apprehensive to ever go back to that environment again. Clearly they are instructed by the bad experiences to avoid bad experiences. It's clear that they're making a decision to avoid a bad experience because the bad experience was unpleasant and negative, and it's intrinsically and fundamentally negative. So this is just, you know, fuck you. This is convoluted mishmash. I don't know why you're getting into a conversation of fucking goddamn convoluted mishmash. But Hoffel typical answer. You are quite simply mistaken. That was not the question. The question you allude to is similarly loaded as was yours. Nobody has to answer such questions. I mean, just amazing. He doesn't have to account for the fact that he's using the same word to describe a human sensation as he is a beastie's sensation, and yet saying somehow the human sensation means something and the beastie sensation doesn't mean anything. Yeah, right. No logic there. Gary, you are a liar. Now, I'm sorry, that you know, that was a slanderous beginning due in the morning, not a great beginning. Clearly it's that cunt who was lying when he said my philosophy has something to do with euthanasia, or that somehow I'm obligated to stop people from having swimming pools because somehow swimming pools are intrinsically a threat to children, which is a lie. Swimming pools are no more a threat to children than balloons are a threat to children, or plastic bags are a threat to children. Irresponsible parents kill children, retard, not swimming pools. Football, on the other hand, is intrinsically, if you play it the way you're supposed to play it, you're going to kill some kids. You're going to paralyze some kids if you do it exactly the way it's designed. If you use a swimming pool the way it's designed to be used, you will not kill any children. Of course, I might have, and I don't even want to get on the subject of the feral cats. Again, that's not I didn't create this fucking goddamn fire. Why the hell do I have to put the fire out? And I'm in the business of preventing shit, fucking brains. You can't figure that out. That's a lot smarter to prevent something than it is to fix it afterwards. I mean, yes, there's rape victims right now, and they all need some band-aids emotionally and physically, and that would be just swell if somebody wants to do that shit, but it's even more important that you stop people from getting raped in the future. And that's what the conversation's about. And there's nothing unreasonable about an advocate saying, I want to prevent rape, okay? I'm not going to clean up the mess that exists now. I'm going to stop the mess being created in the future. You fucking idiot. And there's nothing hypocritical or duplicitous about somebody worrying about cures rather than band-aids. That's just fucking rational, fuckface. But you wouldn't understand reason, because you're not reasonable. You're an idiot, an illogical, nihilist, selfish, motherfucking cunt asshole. So here she defends nepotism, which is essentially just a form of racism, speciesism, familyism, tribism. It's ignorant and retarded. It has nothing to do with actual merit. It's obviously not logical. It's obviously, these are the people living for their emotions. These are the people who can't get past their emotions. So I'm not the one with the empathy problem. They're the one with the prejudice and the racist problem. So anyway. God, these people just suck so fundamentally and deeply. Ooh. Quinkakakaka. Yeah, but very well done. So Quinkakaka also believes the beasties don't really suffer. Only the silly people think they suffer. So only silly people think dogs matter and they need comfort. That's just being silly and emotional. It's not being reasonable and rational to understand that your dog doesn't like to be out in the rain, lonely and sad and starving. No, it'd be idiotic to think a starving dog is not having a good time and that that's a bad thing. That's retarded, according to Quinkakakaka. God. Instead of euthanizing cats, somebody should euthanize... The sooner the better. The sooner you get what you deserve, the better. Fucking piece of shit.